Thank you for having me here. My background is in psychology and human-centered design, and I think I can contribute a bit from a more psychological perspective. As with the slide where the human is in the background, I think in technology quite often the human side is somehow a little bit like left out. Uh, I co-founded a company a couple of years back called Off Time. It's really also at the online offline edge. We do like workshop and trainings. We also do research and consultancy, and we've got the software as a service, which is really like more anti-distraction software for people really working or unplugging in their free time. We got quite some press. We got quite active users. We've been once among the best apps by Google in 2014, so that was quite nice. And today I'm gonna talk a little bit about like positive tech. The theme of the conference is positive tech. It's about like not more technology, but it's really about better technology. And I can only agree with that. And there's also more to this. The digital revolution, as you know it, started some years back. And when you look at it, it was not really a straight start. It was more a bumpy start. And in the 20s, 30s, 40s, you had the punch cards, and the punch cards have been used as really like a more consensus mechanism. There's always a story how it was used in the Second World War, and it was not really sexy to really like occupy your mind with technology. And this changed in the 60s, 70s, when really the hippie liberal individual movement merged together with technology, and then it really this counterculture came together with the technology, and the cyberculture was born. And there's a good book from Fred Turner about this one, and Stuart Brand, who published the whole Earth catalog, really inspired Steve Jobs and other people, and then it really took off. And the benefits today are obvious, like really everything is faster, productivity goes up, our pleasure and desires can be fulfilled in a click. But there's more to it, even though we are all connected. I think many people want to unplug, but they can't unplug. And maybe not here, maybe you don't want to unplug at all. But when you look outside, even teens already say now that the biggest risk of digitalization is really the distraction. And they name this above privacy. Like for most tech scene, privacy is a big issue. For teens today, it's already distraction. And our half of the people, they said, hey, I'm sometimes annoyed by my smartphone. I don't want to have it. I don't want to have the technology. And 9 out of 10 people today, they've got difficulties to really unplug. So where does this lead to? Some people say we really merge with the machines. Some say we shouldn't merge. But let's postpone this question a little bit. We moved from information scarcity to an affluence of information. And that's really a big step in human evolution. A long time, like most of our history, there wasn't as much information there as there's now. And now we live in this information affluence and also in an information attention age. The whole economy is now based on information and on the attention people get. And all of you, most of you also try to get the attention. And in the first phase, it was quite a lot about access, really like how can we get people on technology? It's really with the idea of democratizing the society. The more information there is, the better people can cooperate, the better they can make really decisions, and it's really helping the people. And the second phase is more a bit about like what and when. It's really like from this honeymoon phase where it's full in, it's more like a balance, finding the right balance in there. But when you look at today, it's still about access. And it's important that there is the access and that we establish and bring everybody online and really look in equal phases. But there's also a little bit the doubt if access really helps. When you look at the elections in the US, I think the dream of technology that it really helps for a more liberal society wasn't really fulfilled. So many people ask, hey, is it the right thing what we do? And should we really have more technology? Or should it be different? And also the question, what's today there, it's not about balance. I think many people really work on more engagement, really making people more addicted. And I don't know where in user experience, UX, UI design, we took the wrong route towards really like addictive interfaces. I think it was more helping people to find their way. Now it's more like really addicting people to it. But it's also not the first revolution. There have been some revolutions before, like the digital revolution where we moved there, and I think we can learn from those revolutions. The industrial revolution, for example, it really brought loads of wealth to the West and to the whole world, but the consequences of this we still have to fight with today. There's social inequality on a global level when you look, and there's the pollution issue, global warming. And that's really the side effects of the first industrial revolution. Then we moved after the Second World War, we moved in the West also from food scarcity to food affluence, and a whole industry of junk food came up with flavors, sugar, sweets, and fat. And people really got addicted to junk food. And today we've got an issue with obesity. Many people are just overweight. But slowly we change it. We teach our kids what to eat, what the healthy nutrition is, and we move beyond that, and we find a healthy and balanced diet again. Cities, the same example. When we started moving to cities, we just built, and then we realized, hey, maybe we shouldn't put a big road everywhere. Maybe we should look where are the parks, where's the space for recreation. In the beginning it wasn't clear. But slowly we start to understand, hey, that we can live as humans, we've got to design our surrounding in a certain setting. And Christian Harris pushes the point, smartphones are like cars. They really enable quite a lot, but there's also the issue of pollution and isolation. With cars today, we try to fix them. Blah, blah, car puts people together in a car, so not everybody has to drive alone. We look for green cars, Tesla, for example. We don't just remove the cars, we make them more sustainable in a way. And I think the same we can do with the smartphone. But why is the digital a challenge for us? What do you think? Why is it so? Why are we so addicted to the smartphone, to the digital world? We want to be connected. So there's the need for the others, yes? It opens us. Like opening in a sense of... Yes. Fear of missing out. Multifunctional, like in a sense of... So it enhances us. Is there more? Say it once more. Yes. From my perspective, it's really like because we are human, and we've got a body, we've got a mind. And when you look at in more detail, like from an evolutionary perspective, we love new information. As I said before, we moved from scarcity to affluence. And a couple of 100 years ago, it was important that you learned quite fast that the red berry is poisonous. If you didn't learn it, you would die. So information was very crucial. And I think today we are still wired for information, for learning. We've got the fear of missing out, like the whole clickbait. Well, you're hooked on it. You want to learn it. You want to know it, even though it's not really relevant for you. Like most of our evolution, information around us was relevant. Right now, it's not relevant. What does it matter if somewhere a couple of 1,000 kilometers away this is happening or whatever? Nobody really cares, but our mind thinks, oh, we should learn it. Then what you said, we are social. Our social group really was important for us so many years. And it's still important now for emotional stability, to have your kin, to have your family around you. So social and information together, you've got social media. And together with access, like 10 years ago, it was also the point where really the internet took off. And it still reminds me when you have this colorful of junk food. And sometimes when I think of chips, I would ask my girlfriend to really take away the chips from me because I couldn't stop myself. eating of it, and the same with the smartphone and social media. Sometimes I really have the feeling, hey, can somebody take the device away? I can't really stop. So in the past it was the junk food we put in. Today we put in the junk information. We don't really see it, but we might feel it, that we get a bit dizzy. Then there isn't enough self-control, especially when we are tired in the evenings, or when there's quite a lot of social, emotional stuff going on. We just like distract ourselves. It's the easiest way to deal with it. Also, everywhere are the devices nowadays, so it's really the seamless interaction. It's so easy just to take out the phone and to swipe. It's harder than ever before that we can really separate it. In the past, you could go away from eating too much chocolate. You just didn't buy it. Today, work and leisure is really just one swipe away. It's so hard to resist. We create this identity, somebody just mentioned it. And we create the identity in two ways. We first have really like, you are more than just sitting here and your role and your experiences. I'm sure most of you have a Facebook profile, Instagram profile, and it's also part of you, your Stack Overflow, your reputation there. It's part of you. And so you want to connect with your online identity because it makes you more in a person. And the tools we have, the smartphone, we connect. It's more than a tool. It really enhances us, and it's painful for you when you lose my phone, because not only you know how expensive it is, but it's part of you. And when you have the pain of losing the phone, it's this part. It's not just a tool. It's not just note taking. It becomes your extended mind. When you think about moving the cursor on the computer, you don't think, okay, let's move the mouse. You think with the cursor in there. So that's the part. And so we also have those habits, and especially we get really fast hooked on habits when you get a reward, and this reward is not there every time. It's only there part of the time. And so every notification is like this jackpot. Is it a jackpot, or is it not worth this notification anything? And how many notifications in the day are really relevant for you? Maybe 2 or 3, 5? How many do you get? 100? 200? And this excitement just before you get the notification and you want to see if it's relevant or not relevant, this triggers really your emotions, and those emotions really make you hooked. And I think we are very good today in hooking people. We just A/B test, and we see what works best, how we optimize for people being online. And then you get into this gamification world with all the notifications, with strikes, with new standards, new social norms. And it's just hooking people to engage more online. There's a dark side to it. It's a really outdated behaviorist model. When you take it to the extreme, like with the orcas are trained when they do like a certain thing, they get some fish, some food, which is nice. At least for us, it's just a bit of information we get. They get food, but at the same time, they really get depressed. Like all depressed orcas, they have this fin hanging down. And most orcas, which are living in captures and are trained, are all depressed. So that's an extreme example of it. And it's this all together which makes us really like addicted to devices and to our current technology. There's a nice study about self-control. It's to the right, it's the desire, how strong it is, and people reported how strong their desire is. So there's sleep, which is very strong, and drinking alcohol, which is not that strong for most people. Then when you go up, it's really how this goal does, how this desire does interfere with your goals. So just drinking a bit, you can really build in everything. Like me drinking now, it doesn't interfere with my goals. But like leisure and sleep, when you really want to finish this project, when you do want to do anything, really being lazy or tired, falling asleep, there's a big collision with your goals. And the size is how often this desire is, like leisure, sleep, drinking, eating, comes very often. And the dark red, that's the interesting one, it's how often we fail in doing it, even we didn't want to do it. And there, the media usage, which is in the middle, which the desire strength is not very large, We fail in nearly 50% of the cases in doing it. So you say, hey, I don't want to use my media, and in 50% of the cases, you're not going to succeed to not use it as long as you want it to use. So when you say, hey, I don't want to use the phone for half an hour, in 50% of the cases, you're going to fail, and you're going to use it before that. And that's because of this addictive mix, and it's also because it's accessible everywhere. And we humans have more needs to that. What do you think? What are the other needs we have? Maslow. So self-fulfillment going up. What else? Sleep, maybe right now for most of you. What needs do you have beyond that? Being alone? Yes. What else? Eating? Food? There are even a couple of more. There's the, I think in IT, well, not falling down is also neat, not mine. In IT, quite a lot is about privacy. I think history taught us that we really should take care and respect privacy, and that we all need the privacy to explore our identities, and not everything should be recorded what we do. But there's also being alone, solitude. It's very important. There are also studies on it where they had forced managers to have 1 hour of solitude, and they made moral better decisions. So that's an important thing to really connect, also to deal with our emotions we have. Like when you're a kid, your mother and father interpret your emotions. When you're an adult, you need your friends, but you also deal with the emotions when you're alone. You get to know yourself. Boredom, it's key to creativity in many cases. Then there's conversation, not just connection, but really conversation. Looking somebody in the eyes, when you want to try it on Skype you can't look somebody else into the eyes because the camera is there, so you look in the camera, but the other person sees that you don't look there. It's impossible to look somebody in the eyes on Skype. And there's body language. There are really like awkward moments where there's silence. You don't have that silence or awkward moments on WhatsApp. And that's very important to get to know yourself, get to know the other person, really to make friendships. This moments of exchange. I think it's what holds us together as a society as well. And it can't be really meditated through technology or digital technology. We really have to get into it, and it's messy. Then we need to unplug to recover. I think many people forget it. This morning we had a talk at breakfast about unplugging and how Google really allows people to really go off the grid for the holidays and just say, hey, I'm not available, and they really push it as a culture. And I think more people really should do it, because when you work late, when you use your phone late at night, you really get depressed. There are now more and more studies which really confirm that. And a more holistic view on it is really that mentally your mind is free, detached from work, that you relax, that you really do some stuff outside your work domain which really challenges you, and you've got full control over it. When you don't have the control over it, when you know somebody could call every minute, every second, you don't relax. And when you don't relax, your batteries just go down. And you really need this unplugging to recharge our batteries. We did a study with Humboldt University that showed like people unplugging 2 hours a day with off time. They really detached mentally better, they relaxed, and they had the higher work motivation, which results in a higher work productivity. You need focus and attention. I think everybody knows it. When you're really like distracted during work, especially programmers, more than managers, then you don't get anything done. Maybe not for the rest of the day, maybe not an hour. On average, it's 23 minutes and 15 seconds until you get back into productivity again, into your mode. And the interesting thing is also that there are spillover effects, which means in an hour where you have been very distracted, the following hour, the following time, your brain is already trained and your brain looks for more distractions. So even you are not disturbed, your brain still looks for distractions. So you're gonna distract yourself more. So you really need to train your focus and also keep the distractions away, because you just go off somewhere else. Then there's this autonomy and free will, this self-fulfillment. When you go to Maslow, what you just mentioned, there's more to it. And I think we really need the autonomy to be independent of technology. And right now, we've got this mix, and it's already the need where with the highest phyla of self-control. So really having this autonomy beyond technology, I think there's a missing piece in it. And how will our future look like? I think we naturalize more and more technology. As with writing, agriculture, electricity, we tend that technology becomes invisible. As good designers, you know, like a good design is invisible. People don't see it. I think quite a lot of technology we developed already is invisible. And the same is happening with digital technology. Right now, the smartphone navigation is very essential, accepted, vital, and then the next step is really becoming invisible, and then it becomes our nature. So we are really moving towards there. At the same time, there's Internet of Things, so many, many things become invisible, more screens are coming around us. There are more robots coming, because in the West, we've got like an aging society, so we need robots to take care of older people. Then machine learning will help us more and more, and maybe at one day, it will really outsmart us. And you've got the cyborgs coming. We already now are mentally, from a mental view, we are already cyborgs. Like, you don't say, or you say, my battery is flat, I'm running out of battery. You don't say, like, the battery of my phone is flat. So mentally, it's already part of you. And it's just a question of time until technology really moves under your skin as well. Then people of you working in mixed reality, virtual reality, like we expand our world around us. That's coming more and more. And it becomes really like, part of us. And with mixed reality, virtual reality, more experiences are coming in there. It's not just our mind on the internet, it's our whole body experience in there. And it will be very, very powerful because we feel more. And I think many people here say, hey, put in experiences, because experiences is what people look for, and they really look for it. And so technology in the future will be much more addicting, because it's such a whole body experience. A bright future? I don't know. Even if you're not vegan, you might think about, okay, is AI, when it really is outsmarting us, treating us as we treat now less intelligent species? So maybe we should set a good example how we treat other species which are not as intelligent. Or this quote from Bill Murray from 2013 is quite interesting. My phone has 2 million times the storage of the 1969 Apollo 11 spacecraft. They went to the moon, and I throw pigs at birds at pig houses. It's like in the Times from Angry Birds. And I think he coined it quite nicely, that most of the people, they don't use the technology they have. They just consume it. And I think it's also for future technologies we develop now, most of the people are not going to use it. They could use it, but they don't use it. So again, is it really about more technology, or is it about better technology? And how does better technology look like? Yeah, we're going to use it, but we need more. And I think there are two strategies where we can go. One is a bit more personal strategy for the end user and how you can deal privately with technology. And one is a more systemic view on it. And I'm gonna go more on the systemic view because it's also for the development of it. And the personal one, you can Google it, look it up, or ask me afterwards what's in there. But I still gonna mention it, that you get a bit of an overview. So we need people who really share a healthy and balanced digital lifestyle. There are many personal strategies, how you can adjust your surrounding and your phone, that it's less distracting, that it makes you less addicted. There is also like a lifestyle of technological simplicity, digital minimalism, which really looks again for the value. What's the value in it? And many products coming out there, they say, okay, the attention economy doesn't give me as much value. I look for products that keep my focus, that don't take the attention away. And then you've got like the Kindle or writers and phones that don't have much function, but they really keep your focus and they let you be productive. And they don't take the attention away from what you need. And I think in the future there will be much more coming in this direction, not like really the multifunctional devices, but the single-purpose devices. Then there's the idea how you can teach your kids. There's the whole digital detox movement in there. And it's in there also from a systemic view, because the niches really keep the mainstream in check. When there's just one mainstream, when something goes wrong, we don't have a backup. And we also don't know, like, what are the alternatives in there? When you look, for example, at the organic movement really helped to have mainstream food industry look at the food again and also increase the quality of food. Even though not everybody could afford organic food, it has a huge impact that people want to have better food. And the food industry really looks on organic apples, organic tomatoes. Why are they better? What can we do to make it better? And I think it's the same with technology. When we just have the mainstream technology, it's not enough. We should really look for a plurality in there and move forward. Then there's the technology that supports us with technology as off time. It's also very important. You individually, you can't outsmart like 100 designers working on a product to make you addicted. That doesn't work. You can't outsmart the AI who tries to re-engage you. So you should really get technology on your side that supports you with that. And like with technology that helps us with technology, we should really move also beyond this online-offline dualism and look into technology, what technology can do. And there it's really important that we need technology and services whose KPIs really support us and allow digital balance. So it's not the KPIs that really make us more addicted and increase engagement, increase online time. That's the wrong KPIs. KPIs, key performance indicators, don't work on them. Really look again, what's the need of the person, of your customer? What do they want? And they want to connect with friends. They don't want to be more online with your product. And really look again, ask and see how you can really measure those and how you can really make a difference in people's life. That's very, very important. Otherwise, we really like convert with technology, because every time you optimize for engagement and online time, you optimize that we grow together with technology. And I think that's not what we want to have. I thought a bit more from a design perspective. For me, like the current attention design is really like this being addicted and the dealer, when you have a character to it or like a archetype to it. But there's more. I'm gonna give you a couple of more views. It's more a overview, and I think you can go into detail yourself there. So one is open source. I'm sure you know it or you have heard of it. So it's a no-brainer, because open source really runs most of our web today. And it also works outside. It has a different business model than most services have. Like the attention economy, the clicking ads model doesn't work with services running on open source. So there's more to it. There's then the right that everybody can use it. And visually, it's really this builder who is building it. So when you want to have an image, a persona, it's a builder in there. Then you have like liberation technology. I think quite some talks here yesterday and today, like apps for Africa and everything, work on the theme that technology can be used more like on a civil society side, that it enables more, that it's for human rights, like Usha Idi, who had after the Kenya elections, there was a possibility to see where is violence in Kenya, and it made this visible. And I think there are more and more initiatives in there, and where technology can really be added and add value. But at the same time, it's also the first phase. It's about providing access, bringing everybody online. And I think we should also think more about the second phase, how we deal with being connected once you're online. The character is more like the citizen in there. Then in Germany, and I'm sure in Poland as well, there are more and more initiatives coming up about like digital charter, about digital manifests. It tries to put up rules how we can keep the web as we have it, about net neutrality, about privacy, but also warns a bit about like AI, about missing ethics and how we can combine this, and it tries to really involve politics into the discussion. When I think of a persona, it's really this ruler who likes the order and tries to impose the order again on the digital system. Then yesterday there was Anna talking about positive computing, positive design. The idea is really here that technology should make us happy or should support our well-being. It's a nice approach, and there are many elements in it, like how we become through technology a better moral person, how it's not just our desires but also our aims and intents in life. It should be supported. It takes this long-term view on development. It's this lover who really wants the best for you and wants that you are happy. Then there's calm technology. I think Amber Case was here like a couple of years back. It's very important, like for the Internet of Things, and when we move towards having more screens, the idea is really that technology is always in the background and it shouldn't get your attention. The example which is frequently named here is the tea kettle. You put up the tea kettle once, you put in the water, you put it on the stove, it's out of your attention, and only when the water is hot, it makes the noise and comes back to your attention. And the noise of a tea kettle is quite loud, because when you forget it, your house might burn down. So it's justified that it's that loud. But otherwise, it's really like out of the attention. When you look today on the development, it goes a bit in a different direction. Huh? Like this Englishman with the Wi-Fi kettle, and he really took loads of time. And I think quite a lot of technology which is designed today really requires more attention, not 11 hours, but more than it should need. Then you might have heard of design for time well spent. Tristan Harris, the ex-Googler, is pushing it. He's pushing on Facebook, Google, that they change their platform policies and looking for apps which really cater more for our attention and also for our intents. So that cares about how we spend our lives, and not just like that Google or Facebook should optimize the newsfeed that we click more ads or that we spend more time online, or that Netflix really competes with our sleep, that we watch more, but really that they re-ask, hey, what does your user really want and how can you help it? And he forces, or he promotes the awareness, and also looks that the companies really try to change, like to build a movement around it. But he also gives design examples, like your browser. Once in the morning you go on Twitter, then it asks you how long do you want to spend your time on Twitter today, and then when you have like your 50 minutes, then the browser would remind you, hey, you had already your 50 minutes, do you really want to go on? Or that the do not disturb is changed, like your default way of being available is changed in a way that the software really knows if you are occupied. Like now, the talk still goes like 10 minutes, and then when somebody would call you, the software would give back, hey, you're occupied the next 10 minutes, and the other person can really say, hey, no, it's important, I still want to reach the person, or can say, okay, the person is occupied, I'm going to call back in 10 minutes. And it's changing this being available and not available, and it's just like, yeah, the technology gets more social norms. Or the other one is about navigation software, where your navigation software would know that you want to exercise more, so it would always propose you the way how you could walk there. And it also would know that you want to develop yourself, and it would give you the latest podcast, your favorite podcast, which you can listen in this half an hour of walking time. So here really technology looks after you and really helps you how you could reach your aims. Looking at beyond the digital, you have like slow design, slow media, which comes from the slow food movement, which is also about like, there's more to it. There's our taste. There are more senses to us. And here the view is really that you also take more natural materials around, that you have the environment around it, and that you design more on a holistic approach. And the basic idea with most approaches is really that it's not about the engagement, but it's also about building trust in your brand, in your company. And people value really this trust in the company, and they come back to you. Like yesterday we had Fjord about brand love, and I think brand trust is also a very important metric. And I think many people, they start not trusting brands anymore that really exploit themselves and where they don't reach their goals. From an image, it's the sage, but also a little bit innocent in many cases when you go too holistic. But that's how I would visualize it. Then there's Postdigital. It's more like an art form. And it says when everything is digital, it becomes invisible as well. Like when everything is new media, everything is media again. And because it becomes invisible, it's important to make it visible again. And so the post-digital artists, they really play with the notion of what the digital does with us. And they try to make it visible again. They try to re-question social norms. They try to open it up. As I said before, as a good designer, you know, good design is invisible. And when somebody really shows you the choices you already made or the designer made for you, I think it's eye-opening for many people. And I think there, like, post-digital art can also be very eye-opening in being able to see what the digital does. And then again, when you can understand it and when you see it, it's easier to modify it. And then there's a personal approach I always like to push, post-tech. It also takes our needs and the intent to the center again. But beyond that, it's really that technology should also help us to become independent of technology. So independent of technology, I would say, you can come when you have when you design a tool for medication or medical devices for somebody having diabetes, for example. It's important that the person learns to measure like the blood sugar, doesn't forget to take insulin. But it shouldn't really, the person shouldn't really depend on it, because when the battery is flat, the person might die because the person just forgets to take the medicine. So it should help the person to learn this new behavior, and then it should really be more in the background as a safety net. And the same like with navigation. I think there should be a navigation modus where you can say, hey, I want to learn the way there as well. Because right now, when I use here Google Maps and I go in full screen mode, I don't learn the way how to get from A to B. I'm just like a passenger. Even though I drive the way maybe 5 times, I still need the navigation to get there. But when there would be a mode where you can say, hey, I want to learn the way, the AI or the algorithm would somehow point out certain markers and you would start to learn the way. And after 5 times, you might be able to drive yourself. Or there might be a mode where you can say, hey, I want to learn the city. And after using 10 times the navigation software, you would know your way around by yourself. And I think that's where it's very powerful, where technology can help us and where we can reach a new level with not being really dependent on it. So right now, media is still very like addictive to us, and it still goes in a different direction. And it's still going in a direction where we use it more and where we depend more on it. But technology should not merely addict or enhance us, not just serve our desires. Technology should empower us so that everybody can fulfill their human potential. And I think you as designers and as programmers, you should, and I think you can really contribute to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm sure you have some questions. Okay, I'm gonna ask the first one. Because you've mentioned that like doing cutouts or just, you know, getting off your technology is making you more efficient in other tasks. So what is your way of relaxing or cutting off the technology that you can really, that you really do? I mean, you know, what's your routine? Or what would you recommend?
Like more on a personal level, on personal strategies, I really try to disconnect in the evenings, and even like switching on off time, or really like putting my phone into the postal box. So when I go into the house and then I take it out in the morning again, disconnecting when I'm with my daughter on the weekends, that's very important. And I think also like looking for activities you can do next to it, really like look for other hobby which involves other things, like doing sports, doing yoga, meditation. I think also helps to focus yourself and to train, just letting go, like to train yourself to move away from this stimuli reaction, but really there's the stimuli and then you just take it and you don't react to it.
Yeah.
I think those are very good.
What would be like a recommendation for people here to, as a first step, to to start their digital detoxes? Just try yourself, or
and try out different modes, like
Okay.
disconnect. Also, like being working online. I think most of the cases. I think 15 years ago there was this joke. There are two kinds of programmers. The successful ones, they learn to ignore the internet, and the not successful ones, they don't learn to ignore it. So I think many people who are more successful, they learn really to prioritize and to really ignore many things. And I think it's not wrong really to use tools to disable the internet, or really to go to places where there's no internet. So that's one thing. And also to train yourself to keep the impulse away. So when you have the feeling, hey, I've got to look this up on the internet, rather don't look it up immediately, but write it down. I think in many cases you have this impulse of, okay, let's check it out. You take out the phone, then there are many notifications and things, and after 10 minutes you realize, what did I do now? What did I want to do in the first place? So really like write it down and then work through it in a list. I think it really helps you to get a different working mode.
Right. Thanks.
I want to reference the last part when you said that, well, theoretically we should move towards teaching people how to disconnect or not use the maps, for example, right? Do you see any examples of technological products, apps, or whatnot that would actually succeed in it? Because I actually see failures. I mean, I see more and more people using navigational apps, even when they don't need it. I drive a taxi. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, nobody would use a navigational app. Right now, even the old school drivers, those who know the city by memory, they always have the navigation on just because it is there. So do you have any good examples of that kind of teaching people how not to be totally dependent on technology?
I think it's slowly starting. I think there are not many applications who really respect that. There are more social startups like Meetup and Couchsurfing, and they look for other metrics, like really connecting people beyond technology. And in their metrics, they really divide or take off the time you spend online, because they say, hey, that's a failure for us, because we shouldn't make you spend more time online, but we should make you spend more time with people. Then there are some dating apps which really rethink again that it's not about swiping left and right, but really having meaningful connections. So that's also coming up. But in most cases, it's only starting. Like the awareness is only coming now, and the awareness of people really like, okay, when I start using the software, it's not just a tool. It becomes a way of thinking, and it becomes invisible, and I don't re-question it. And you only re-question it when it's taken away. But when you ask a question, hey, how can I move beyond that? How can I use a tool that get better in navigation or better in writing? I think that's the right question to ask also when you look for services. And I think in the selection of services, you should always look, what's their business model? Is their business model really to make me click more ads? Is it really to collect more data? Because this business model really distracts the whole focus away from really helping the user. And then it's not that you get the fastest from A to B, but it's really to collect more data from you.
Alex, are you gonna stay here for the rest of the day with us?
I'm gonna be here a couple of more
Okay.
hours, so when you have questions.
So I
approach
think
me.
you can meet after that, and unfortunately we have to go, so thanks a lot.
Thank you.